chaotic. Unexpectedly chaotic. And then AdSense that I made in February, it is, alright, time to review the March goals. I read the book as if I was watching like a Criminal Minds show. The book just doesn't make any sense in my head. I just did not like it. It was not good. Just Love by Anna Huang. Today's mood is a full-on girl outfit vibe because that's just been honestly the whole month of February's mood, but we're gonna get into it. Happy March 1st, guys. I can't believe it is already March 1st. I don't know what happened to February, but it literally flew by in the blink of an eye. Honestly, I was traveling so much and doing so much that I'm not really surprised that it flew by as fast as it did, because it's not like I was sitting in my apartment every day. But I am still surprised that it's like March and that we are already like diving into spring. This year is already flying by. I wanted to sit down and kind of do like a February wrap up, recap, and then a March reset video. This is gonna be different than a few of the other reset videos that I've done. My last reset video that I did like a full deep clean of my apartment. I did goal setting, I did laundry, I did book review. Lord knows what I did in that video. But as you can see, my vibe is a little different today. I've been kind of slowly but surely resetting for the entire month of March. For the past couple of days, I was going to do like a full reset on Sunday, but I ended up spending the weekend in Williamsburg, and the one train to take from like East Village to Williamsburg was shut down all weekend. So unless I wanted to pay a buttload for Ubers, I just needed to stay there. So I decided just to stay there and came back to my apartment Monday morning. So I didn't end up doing a full-on reset on Sunday like I wanted to, but you know what? It's fine because I had such a good day Sunday and just spent quality time with my boyfriend, and we hung out and I did schoolwork, and it was just a good vibe. So I'm not even mad about it. I need a coffee break. I bought Trader Joe's oat milk. It is not the vibe. Anyways, I want to go ahead and start by looking at my February goals that I had set for the month. Kind of scared to look at these because February was chaotic. Unexpectedly chaotic. I'm not mad about it, but it was chaotic, and so I don't actually know what I accomplished from this list or what just like simply did not end up happening. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to pop a picture of what my February goals are up on the screen, and we can kind of go through them together. So my first goal for the month of February was to read 3 books. I actually ended up reading, let's see how many. I just finished one last night. I literally finished the last book for February at 11:59 last night, like 1 minute before it hit midnight to start March. So that's crazy to me, but I read the entire book in one night, so we'll get into that because it was such a good book and I highly recommend. Okay, I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books in the month of February, and my only goal was to read 3, so we definitely achieved that goal. We hit it out of the park. I didn't know if that was going to happen or not because I spent so much time reading this one book called The Ninth House, which I'm going to do a full review at the end, so stay tuned for the book review at the end of this video. I spent so long reading The Ninth House, like literally 2 weeks, that I didn't think that I was going to be able to achieve this goal because I just like did not like that book so much, and it took me so long to finish that it put me in a book slump, and I just didn't want to read any other books after that. Next goal was to hit 2.5 subs on YouTube. I also hit this goal last night at like 10 p.m. I didn't think I was going to hit this goal for the month of February because I was literally balancing between 2,490 and 2,495 subscribers for like 2 weeks there. It was just fluctuating, but last night I hit 2,502. As always, I'm just like so happy and so blessed for your guys' support. So I do set these goals obviously for myself on YouTube to challenge myself to create new content, more content, reach a larger audience, but at the end of the day I feel like the number of subscribers like doesn't really matter that much. It's the quality of content that I'm creating that matters, and like the quality of the subscribers that I have, and you guys are just amazing and so positive and such a great community. So while I do set a subscriber goal for myself on like YouTube and like my social media platforms, it's not like that's like the only thing that matters, and I don't want you guys to ever think that. It's just something that I need to do in order to push myself to get out of my own creative headspace, if that makes any sense. Next one is to visit a new state. I visited a new state and a new U.S. territory. Well, not new U.S. territory. I've been to Puerto Rico before, but I visited new like cities within that U.S. territory, so does that count also? But I did go to Vermont this month, and I did go to Puerto Rico, and I'm getting ready to go to Williamsburg, Virginia this weekend. It's like a whole thing, so I did accomplish that goal. Vermont. Make one new recipe. Let's see, did I do that this month? Oh, I did. I did make one new recipe. I made really good fajita recipe. It was like a 1-sheet pan fajita recipe, and I would highly recommend. I'm definitely going to end up making it again in the future because it was so easy and super, super delicious. I'll link the recipe in the description. Is my heater okay? I'll link the recipe for the 1-sheet pan fajitas in the description down below because I would highly recommend it if you're like new to cooking or just starting out and you need an easy recipe to make. It was like literally you throw all of the ingredients, all of the seasonings on one pan, you put it in the oven for 20 minutes, and then you just throw in like a little tortilla wrap, and bada bing, bada boom. Super good recipe. This next goal I did not achieve, and that is drink alcohol only once per week. I was traveling a lot, not that that's an excuse to drink, but when you're on vacation and you're treating yourself, it kind of just happens. Honestly, this was a goal that I put on this list that I wasn't sure if I was going to achieve even when I knew that I wasn't traveling, because I live in New York City. One of the most social things to do in the city is drink, unfortunately. Just like go out to bars, go out to drinks with friends, go out to brunch, happy hour. It is one of the most social aspects of the city, so it is hard to only drink once a week if you want to socialize. That's just my opinion and my perspective and like my particular like group of friends and my particular surroundings. Obviously there are people in the city that socialize just as much and don't drink, but just for like my particular personal scenario, that was not achieved, and that's really hard to do. So I did not end up achieving that goal. Next one is to work out 3 times per week. I don't think I ended up achieving this goal either, although I did move my body-ish kind of 3 times per week. Like I tried to go on as many walks as possible or to move my body in some way. I don't think I achieved this though. It's because I didn't like go to the gym 3 times per week. So I'm just gonna cross it off. Didn't happen. It's okay. It is what it is. Okay, moving on to my starting subscriber count. I was at 2,373 when I started at the beginning of February, and right this second I'm at 2,502. So I grew like 120-ish subscribers this month, which is really good for me. And like I said, it's really not about like the subscriber count or the numbers. It's just more of like challenging myself to reach a broader audience and like to challenge my creativity. So I like to see that my content that I produced this month in February, which was pretty unique because a lot of it was travel stuff, reached a broader audience, and like a lot of people wanted to stick around for that. So that's actually really, really cool to see. And if you're new around here, welcome. And then AdSense that I made in February, it is still kind of populating because even though the month of February is over, the AdSense will be ongoing until like March 3rd because it has to calculate for the last few days of February. So right now I'm at $165, which is the most that I've ever made from YouTube in 1 month. I don't think I've ever like shared how much I make on AdSense on YouTube or how much I make from YouTube in general, but I really don't make that much from AdSense, just so that you guys are aware. Like for example, in January I only made $148. This month I'm probably gonna make like $165, $170 maybe. But I definitely don't do YouTube for the money, and this is the perfect example of it because I am just starting out, and this is like a pretty average number for someone with like my average number of subscribers and my average amount of views, I would say. I'm sure there's like a way to hack the system and figure out how to make more money via AdSense if I really wanted to get into it, but that just kind of sounds like a lot of work, and like I said, I'm not really doing YouTube for the money. So I'm just grateful for like whatever I end up getting. I just honestly take the money that I make from AdSense and put it in my savings anyways. I have like a separate savings bank account, and I'll use it to do like a big trip one day, or if I need to invest in new equipment. Like the money that I made from 2021, I just put half of that towards my new laptop, which is right here. If you guys know, you know, I had to buy a new laptop, but the money that I made from YouTube last year, a good portion of that went towards this new laptop, and that's what it's there for. That's why it's in savings. So super grateful for like any amount of money that I do make, and it just ends up going into savings anyways. I'm gonna put 165, but that's still kind of pending. So that was it for my February goals, and now I need to brainstorm some March goals. I don't know what to expect from this month. February was such a whirlwind for me and so spontaneous, and I loved like every second of it, but March I feel like I really need to like sit back down and get my life together. I say that now, but watch me book like a month-long trip to like Miami or something like that. I'm not gonna do that, but I'm just saying that's that was like my thought process last month, was like, oh, I'm gonna get my life together. One thing led to another and I ended up traveling for the whole month. So I really do think March needs to be a time for like saving money, chilling out, getting my life together, like settling back into a routine, getting back into healthy habits, and then going from there. So I'm gonna keep that in mind when I make these goals. Alright, time to review the March goals. Guys, I really don't like this oat milk. First goal is to read 3 books in the month of March. This is the same goal as the one I had in February, and even though I exceeded the February goal, I like the 3 books because I feel like that's a good amount of books to read in a month. There's no pressure to read more. I just feel like when reading becomes a responsibility and a chore, that's when I start getting discouraged from reading, and I feel like right this second and at this point in my life, I'm reading about 3 to 5 books per month, so I feel like this is a really good goal for me. Next is to hit 1,600 subscribers on YouTube, or 1,600? This, we're in the 2000s. Okay, need to change that. Next is to hit 2,600 subscribers on YouTube. Like I said, right now I'm at like 2,500, and I'm averaging about 100 subscribers per month, so I feel like this is a good goal for me. Next is to spend less. Significantly less than February is a really good goal for me to set for March because I spent so much money in February. March, I really need to get back on track with my spending and like chill out. I need to pay off my credit card. I just need to like put money in savings. I need to not do what I did last month. Next is to attend in-person school residency program. I'm actually doing that this upcoming weekend, so I'm going to be able to cross it off, but I just wanted to put it on my list because this is, I'm gonna get more into it because I'm gonna be vlogging the whole weekend, but this residency weekend is something that is so far out of my comfort zone because I'm going to be going like by myself and socializing with people that I don't know at a school that I'm not super familiar with because my program is 100% online, with professors that I don't really know because my program is 100% online. So it's so far out of my comfort zone that I just want to put this goal on my list because I know, 1, I'll be able to cross it off because I'm definitely going, and 2, I just feel like I'll be able to reflect back on the school and be like, oh wow, I actually did that, like look at me go. Next one is to try a spin class nearby. I really have been wanting to try SoulCycle. There's actually a SoulCycle in Williamsburg, right where my boyfriend lives, so I could go to that one night or in the morning. There's also a few other spin studios near me that are really popular. I don't remember what they're called off the top of my head, but I see a lot of people go to them on Instagram and stuff like that, so I really want to try a spin class, I think. Next is to get back into a morning and night routine. Like I said, I was traveling all last month, so I'm not really in a good routine as far as working and going to bed on time and waking up and doing like a whole morning routine. I'm trying to get back into it, but these things take time. Rome wasn't built in a day, so I want to get back into those. Next is to post 8 times on YouTube. I only posted 6 for the month of February, and my average is 8 times per month on YouTube because I post twice a week. But because my laptop took a hit in Puerto Rico and I was traveling, I really didn't have that much time to edit, upload, film all of these different vlogs. So YouTube took a hit last month, but I want to get back on track with that. And then I have my starting subs, which I told you guys in reflection. I'm starting at 2,500, excited to see where I get at the end of March. And then of course I have like my AdSense tracker, but we won't know what that is until the end of March as well. Those are my March goals. I set them so that they are achievable because there's nothing worse than setting a whole list of goals that you just know for a fact that you are 100% not going to achieve any of them. I think that your goals should be challenging but also realistic. At the end of the day, you want to be able to reflect back on goals and be proud of the fact that you achieved them while also experiencing self-growth. You don't want to look back on goals and be like, wow, I'm a failure, I didn't cross any of these off. So I think that setting challenging but realistic goals is like kind of the key to success with setting monthly goals. Okay, and last but not least, we're gonna go through the books that I read in the month of February. I'm gonna review them and give a little description of what they are so that if you guys need any new books to put on your to be read list, you can potentially put some of these on there. Okay, first book that I actually started in the month of January but finished it in March, so I don't remember if I reviewed this in my February reset, but I'm going to go ahead and review it again. This is Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. I gave it 5-star, obviously. I love Colleen Hoover personally. I think that her books are just super easy to read. I am gonna give a trigger warning though. She has a habit of writing about domestic abuse and assault and stuff like that. If you get triggered easily by any of those topics, she might not be the best books to read for you, but if you don't like get triggered easily by that, then you know, carry on, obviously. Quick description of this book. A troubled young mother yearns for a shot at redemption in this heartbreaking yet hopeful story. After serving 5 years in prison for a tragic mistake, Kenna Rowans returns to the town where it all went wrong, hoping to reunite with her 4-year-old daughter, but the bridges Kenna burns are proving impossible to rebuild. Everyone in her daughter's life is determined to shut Kenna out. No matter how hard she works to prove herself, the only person who hasn't closed the door on her completely is Ledger Ward, a local bar owner and one of the few remaining links to Kenna's daughter. But if anyone were to discover how Ledger is slowly becoming an important part of Kenna's life, both would risk losing the trust of everyone important to them. The two form a connection despite the pressures surrounding them, but as their romance grows, so does the risk. Kenna must find a way to absolve the mistakes of her past in order to build a future of hope and healing. Like I said, I gave this 5 stars. The whole story was unlike anything I've ever read. Even caught myself tearing up towards the end, and I never cry at books, so that's saying something. Overall, it was good and obviously a very easy read. Colleen Hoover writes books that you could literally read in a day or two. You sat down and put your mind to it, so it was a home run for me. Next book that I read was Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. I gave this 5 stars, and my review on this was, if you like Criminal Minds or Law & Order, you'll love the book. I finished less than 24 hours and now want to read every single book by Lisa Jewell. So good. I read the book as if I was watching like a Criminal Minds show. Like, that's how she writes, and I think that's why I really like it. I could binge the Criminal Minds series all day, every day. I just love stuff like that. I was a forensic science minor in college and really wanted to do criminal justice for the longest time. Obviously, it didn't go anywhere because here we are as a project manager, but I wanted to do criminal justice for the longest time, so I find books like these really cool. Recap on it is, then she was 15, her mother's golden girl. She had her whole life ahead of her, and then in the blink of an eye, Ellie was gone. Now it's been 10 years since Ellie disappeared, but Laurel has never given up hope of finding her daughter. And then one day a charming and charismatic stranger called Floyd walks into a cafe and sweeps Laurel off her feet. Before too long, she stays the night at this house and being introduced to his 9-year-old daughter. Poppy is precocious and pretty, and meeting her completely takes Laurel's breath away, because Poppy is a spitting image of Ellie when she was that age. And now all those unanswered questions that have haunted Laurel come flooding back. What happened to Ellie? Where did she go? And who still has secrets to hide? So it's kind of like a kidnapping, like murder, mystery, psychological thriller type book. This next book gave me a run for my money, and I literally spent 2 weeks trying to read it, and I finally just had to finish it and put it to the side because it made me so mad. It's The Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. So background on this book, and I've mentioned this in other vlogs, so if you've already heard this, I'm sorry for me repeating myself, but I'm a big Harry Potter nerd. I absolutely love Harry Potter. I've read all the books multiple times. I've seen the movies multiple times. I went to the Harry Potter store in New York. I just love Harry Potter. And so I was really looking for like a fantasy book that kind of resembled Harry Potter because I haven't read a fantasy book in so long. So I picked up The Ninth House per recommendations on Google, which may have been where I went wrong. I should have just probably asked someone what the recommendation was instead of Googling it, but you know, lesson learned. And it took me so long to get through this book, and it was just so dry. My review, I gave this 3 stars, but really like my actual opinion would be I gave it like 2.5 out of 5 stars because you can't do half stars on Goodreads, so I gave it 3, just rounded up. Disclaimer, I googled books similar to Harry Potter and landed on this one, so I had high expectations from the start. I was expecting a lot more of this book and instead was pretty bored until about 3/4 of the way through. I don't know if I'll end up reading the rest of the series when it comes out. Galaxy, aka Alex Stern, is the most unlikely member of Yale's freshman class. Raised in the Los Angeles hinterlands by a hippie mom, Alex dropped out of school early and into a world of shady drug dealer boyfriends, dead-end jobs, and much worse. By age 20, in fact, she is the sole survivor of a horrific, unsolved, multiple homicide. Some might say she's thrown her life away, but at her hospital bed, Alex is offered a second chance to attend one of the world's most elite universities on a full ride. What's the catch and why her? Still searching for answers to this herself, Alex arrives in New Haven tasked by her mysterious benefactors with monitoring the activities of Yale's secret societies. These 8 windowless tombs are well known to be haunts of the future rich and powerful, from high-ranking politicos to Wall Street and Hollywood's biggest players. But their occult activities are revealed to be much more sinister and more extraordinary than any paranoid imagination might conceive. It sounds really good based on the description, but the book just doesn't make any sense in my head. I just did not like it. It was not good. Next book that I just recently finished the other day, actually yesterday, and then I picked up another book and finished that book yesterday also. So I finished 2 books yesterday. Look at me go. Was The Summer Proposal by V. Keelan. Super easy read, really good, but kind of overhyped in my opinion. I gave it 3 stars out of 5. My more realistic score would be like 3.5 stars out of 5. This book was just like overhyped in my opinion. I know a lot of people that raved about this book because it's kind of like smutty, like that type of genre of a book, but it just wasn't my fave. Quick recap on the book is that the first time I met Max Yearwood was on a blind date. Max was insanely gorgeous, funny, and our chemistry was off the charts. He also had the biggest dimples I've ever laid eyes on, exactly what I needed after my breakup, or so I thought, until my real date arrived. Turns out, Max wasn't who I was there to meet. He only pretended to be until my real date showed up. To say I was disappointed would be an understatement. Before he left, he slipped me a ticket to a hockey game a few blocks away in case things didn't work out on my actual date. I tossed the ticket into my purse and went about trying to enjoy the man I was supposed to meet. But my real blind date and I had no connection. So on the way home, I decided to take a chance and stop by the game. When I arrived, the seat next to me was empty. Disappointed again, I decided to leave at the end of the period. Just before the buzzer, one of the teams scored and the entire arena went crazy. A player's face flashed on the Jumbotron. He was wearing a helmet, but I froze when he smiled. You guessed it. Dimples. Apparently my fake blind date hadn't invited me to watch hockey with him, he invited me to watch him play. And so began my adventure with Max Yearwood. He was everything I needed at the time, fun, sexy, up for anything, and only around for a few months since he'd signed with a new team 3,000 miles away. Max proposed we spend the summer helping me forget my ex. It sounded like a good plan. Things couldn't get too serious when they had an expiration date, right? Though you know what they say about the best laid plan. So it's like a little summer romance story. Super cute. I just thought it was overhyped. Next book, which is like the best book that I read in the month of February and like one of my new favorite books of all time because I legitimately read this in one night. I started this at like 5 p.m. yesterday and finished it at 11:59, literally 1 minute before midnight, aka March, so I was able to add this to my February read list. It's called The Perfect Child by Lucinda Berry. It's a psychological thriller, emphasis on the psychological part because the author is actually a former clinical psychologist and leading researcher in childhood trauma, so she writes a lot of her stories based on her professional experience, which I think that honestly that's what makes the book so realistic and so disturbing and creepy, is because she took like real life scenarios and turned them into a fiction book. So like I said, I read this whole book in one evening, so of course it got 5 stars. It was just so good, but it was disturbing, so if you don't like creepy psychology type books, you probably wouldn't like this because it was almost just like too realistic to the point where like it kind of spooks you out, but it was still really good if you like stuff like this. Page-turning debut of suspense about a young couple desperate to have a child of their own and the unsettling consequences of getting what they always wanted. Christopher and Hannah are a happily married surgeon and nurse with picture-perfect lives. All that's missing is a child. When Janie, an abandoned 6-year-old, turns up at their hospital, Christopher forms an instant connection with her, and he convinces Hannah that they should take her home as their own. But Janie is no ordinary child, and her damaged psyche proves to be more than her new parents were expecting. Janie is fiercely devoted to Christopher, but she acts out in increasingly disturbing ways, directing all her rage at Hannah. Unable to bond with Janie, Hannah is drowning under the pressure, and Christopher refuses to see Janie's nature. Hannah knows that Janie is manipulating Chris and isolating him from her, despite Hannah's attempts to bring them all together. But as Janie's behavior threatens to tear Christopher and Hannah apart, the truth behind Janie's past may be enough to push them all over the edge. The most insane story, like so good, and I want to read more by this author because I think that it's so cool that literally her whole like psych background like comes into play in her books. I just think that that's what makes it so realistic. So that's like the #1 book that I would recommend from this month is The Perfect Child by Lucinda Berry. You need to read it. It is so freaking good. Not my fridge turning on and making a weird noise, and the sirens in the background. Welcome to New York. Okay, the sirens are just never gonna shut off, so I'm gonna do this really quickly. I have a few books that are on my TBR list for this month just because I own them and they're sitting on my floor, so I need to get through them. The first one is Apples Never Fall by Leanne Moriarty. Next one is Beach Read by Emily Henry, which honestly I might save this book for the summer. I'm going on a cruise in May with my whole family, And I feel like this could be like a really good cruise book because warm weather, the pool, I can just like picture the whole thing. So I might save this book and just read it in the summer. Next one is Such a Quiet Place by Megan Miranda. Last one is Twisted Love by Anna Huang. It's the first book in the Twisted series. So many people have hyped this up. If you guys watch Kayla Compton, she does a lot of like really good book reviews. She's like super into book talk and stuff like that, so I follow her and I always take some of her recommendations, and one of the #1 series that she hypes up is the Twisted series. So I figured I'd give it a try, so I bought the first book, and honestly that might be the book that I pick up next because like I said, I finished the book that I had started reading last night. I finished it last night also, so now I need to add a new book to my reading list, and I might start that one. But those are the books that are on my TBR list. I honestly, those aren't the only books that are on my TBR list. These are just the ones that I currently own. My TBR list is like 50 pages long at this point. I just keep adding stuff from Amazon to my shopping list, and whenever I run out of books, I just go to like my shopping list and start adding books to my cart depending on the mood that I'm in, and then purchasing them. So it's like 50 pages long at this point. The list of books just never seems to end and continues to grow. So my TBR list is actually so long, but these are just the books that I currently have in my possession, so I need to get through those before I buy any books. I need to cut myself off from purchasing any books until I get through these. Yeah, so that is it for my February reflection March reset video. I know this is different than the January reset video that I did and my February reset video that I did, but I kind of wanted to try more of like a sit down style. I wanted more of like a chill sit down type video. Let me know if you like this style of the reset videos or the other style that I was doing before the reset videos. Like, let me know in the comments down below, because moving forward I can obviously like restructure these reset videos to what you guys like to see, and we can go from there. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys had an amazing February, and I hope you guys have an amazing March. If you made it to this point in the video, share one goal that you have set for yourself for March down below, and maybe we can all gather ideas from each other and add to our goals list, because I'm always so intrigued to see what other people have on their goals list, and I feel like sometimes it inspires me to add to my goals list. So if you guys made goals for the month of March, comment one of them down below so that we can all, you know, kind of brainstorm off of each other. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're new around here, you should stick around and subscribe down below. If you're not new, thank you guys so much for sticking around and being an OG. I need to go because I need to drink another cup of coffee and like chill out. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.